Shrek is a fluffing good film. I love Shrek with all my heart. It's one of the best animated movies in all of time. You can watch Toy Story, but that's bad. Shrek is better than Toy Story. Take it from me.
So Toy Story, right? There's this selfish cowboy who thinks he owns the spot, played by Tom Hanks. Kind of a big swinger. He's a bit of a asshole. You're gonna have to bleep all of this.
So Brad Bird made a film called The Incredibles, and it was pretty incredible. It had Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, and it was Bob and Helen Parr. And they used to be crime fighters, but then, you know, they got older and now they're living among us.
So, I'm talking about How to Train Your Dragon, which is about Vikings who hunt dragons. Specifically, a skinny f***er called Hiccup. And I'm pretty sure Hiccup has some like deep name, but I can't actually remember what the Hiccup meant.
Is it better than Toy Story?
The plot, the characters, the music, it's got f***ing Shrek. I've seen all the Shreks, yes. I've even seen the holiday specials. Shrek 1! Shrek wants a princess, but also he's going through depression and loneliness. And then there's Donkey, who sings. And then there's Count, who was it? Who's the small guy? From Shrek. Quad. And then they play a Joan Jett song. And then Fiona's like, oh my god, I am Shrek Woman.
Spaceman shows up and he gets like favoritism of the spaceman, right? The kid. Because all the toys are like, we want to be played with. It's kind of weird, but you know. Spaceman gets like priority numero uno and Woody's like, nah. Selfish rage. Tries to kill the space boy. And then he's like, ooh, that was a bit of a f***y-wucky. And so like the rest of the toys are like, yo, that wasn't very nice of you. And he's like, okay, fine. So he goes away and tries and finds Buzz. And then he gets tortured by a kid next door who likes to like genetically mess around with toys. Oh, all the toys are alive, but they're not alive when people are around. You are a toy! And like Woody yells at him at like a gas station, and then they get home and Andy's like, oh, I love both of you, and they're like, all right, that's cool.
When Mr. Incredible was in his glory days, he had the kid who later turns into Syndrome, and he was like, oh, I work alone, and young Syndrome was like, oh, I don't like this guy. So, you know, he's scheming, he's doing his stuff. And then in amongst that time, Helen and Bob Parr get married and they have other Incredibles. And one can run fast and one can turn invisible. And so when oh yeah, they had a baby as well that can do a lot of things that was extremely funny in the second film. Extremely funny. Mr. Incredible is tired of his office job, it's boring. And so he goes out and like talks with Frozone, who used to superhero with him. They accidentally rob some place, and so Mr. Incredible is like, oh, I want to do this again. And so he goes to Edna mode and is like, hey, can I get a new suit? And he's like, oh, what about a cape? And she said, no capes! So he goes out to this island, and most of the film is kind of about this island, and he does some stuff, and Syndrome is actually behind him going to this island. And the other Incredibles come by because Helen Parr is like, oh, I need to help him. And then Edna Mode is like, hey, I got some other suits for you. And then she's like, why would you have...
I swear that his wife went to have a go at him.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, what's wrong with it? And she's like, you know, don't do it. He's like, but I'm bored. So she's like, okay, he's stuck in this island. Let's go get him. And so they go get him, and there's this one chick that's like, hello, Mr. Incredible. And then Elastigirl's like, nah, that's my husband. They save the thing because they have a big ball thing that attacks the city or something. And the Underminer comes up and is like, hey, what's up? And then they're like, oh, we're Incredibles now, but we got a family life or whatever, and we've got to keep our identity or some stuff.
So basically Hiccup was useless, and the family disappointment. He just wasn't a dragon killer, because they decided to kill all these dragons because they were pests. I don't know, they ate sheep or some like that. So anyway, he's useless at this, and he ends up having to go to this like Viking school where they learn how to kill dragons, even though he's useless, and he gets bullied by all the other people there. And the one that's most important is like the girl, because I don't know, she's the future love interest. Her name's Astrid. She's pretty cool. She's actually good at killing dragons. He shoots this machine thing that he made randomly, and it might have hit a Night Fury, which is like this special dragon, only one of them exists. So it hits that, but nobody believes that he actually caught that, so everyone bullies him for saying like he caught a Night Fury. So anyway, he's walking in a forest trying to prove himself that he is a strong Viking dragon murderer and that he can do this And yeah, so he finds the Night Fury wrapped up in his trap, and he holds up the knife about to kill this animal, this innocent animal, and then he looks it in the eye, and he saw himself in that dragon, someone who is alone. So he cuts the dragon free. The dragon tries to run away. It can't fly. Its tail's it's gaffed, man. He hid Toothless. It's called Toothless because he has no teeth, but he does. But he doesn't. They like retract. It's weird. Why would you need retracting teeth? I don't know.